Hello, everyone, and thank you. We've always wondered what could happen if our crazy rabbits were unleashed upon the world of Mario. Today, the dream is reality. And to talk about this unexpected encounter, it is my great honor to welcome a very special guest, someone I truly admire. Please. Ladies and gentlemen, Miyamoto-san.
What's up, game players? God dang it. I want to welcome you guys again, darn it, to another special Analog Circle presentation again. And this time we have to talk about Ubisoft. Ubisoft was at E3. They were on the stage, and my gosh, they showed off quite a bit. So let's get into it without further ado. Oh man, before we do, I do this every single time. I forget because I want to jump in. But if you want to leave your comments, leave your opinions, you leave your feedback, feel free to do that by calling in at 443-261-4607, or as always, you can email the show at the Analog Circle Podcast at gmail.com. Now let's just get into it. Let's go. All right, Ubisoft's conference. Now first up, Ubisoft showed Raving Rabbids and the Mario crossover that we heard about. That's what they start the show off with. Then all of a sudden, after that's over, you have Yusuf. He comes onto the stage and he announces the crossover officially. And after he says that, he says, I want to bring to the stage Mr. Miyamoto, who comes out, who is a legend, who is the guy behind Mario, the guy behind Luigi, Donkey Kong, and the list goes on and on and on. This guy was a heck of an innovator in his time. He's still around and he's still making excellent games. So it was incredible to see Mr. Miyamoto on Ubisoft's stage. And when he took to the stage, he actually talked about the name of the game, and the official name of this game, the Mario Rabbids crossover, is called Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle. So that's how that went. All of a sudden, after he got off the stage, they had like these cannons. One looked like a bullet bill. For anybody who's familiar with the original, not even just the original Mario, but Bullet Bill's been around for a minute. That brother got some age on him. So he was out there, he had the gun, Miyamoto, then he gave Yusuf another gun. It looked like it showed one of the first stages on the original Super Mario Brothers game. It was great to see them on stage together. So after that, up next, the next presenter was Xavier, who came to the stage to go into deeper detail about the game. We're still on the Rabbids Mario crossover game. So he goes into deeper detail, and then he says that he went into the game mechanics and what the game is going to play like. And I must say, as they're showing off the game, I must say, yeah, the game actually looks really good. Very interesting. The game is actually going to be tactical, and it looks like it's going to be an RPG that's going to be turn-based, because as they were going into the conflicts with the different enemies, you had to set up perimeters. You had to get your guys in position to do what they do, which is damage the opponent. So when they get in there, they damage the opponent, and then all of a sudden, then it's the opponent's turn to go ahead and fire back on you, which made me say this must be a turn-based RPG. So for anybody that's into this, I have to say, darn it, look it up. This is not my type of game per se, but I have to say, I was even impressed. I'm sitting there and I'm stroking my chin, saying, man, this might be interesting. So this game is actually coming out August 29th of this year, which is another get for Nintendo because they have the crossover. And Ubisoft, they always look out for Nintendo, and just the fact that Nintendo is allowing their IP, their mascot, their main guy to actually share in a game that is a Ubisoft game, my goodness, Nintendo just might be turning over a whole nother leaf. So I'm very interested in this. It will be an exclusive. Of course, you know that Mario is not going to be on the Sony side or the Microsoft side, which would be incredible. Even though I have to say that, you know, talking about Microsoft just for a second and Nintendo, they actually are having Minecraft mixed in with some Mario elements. But anyway, that's for another time. Now, moving on. Up next, a person by the name of Ashraf. I hope I didn't butcher your name, brother, but he took to the stage next to talk about Assassin's Creed Origins. Oh my goodness. They showed off the in-game footage, which just like at the daggone Microsoft press conference, the game looks sensational. It looks amazing. I mean, the desert and just the world itself look astounding. And they also said this. As I'm looking at the game, I'm saying, is it the PC? What is it? They said it was running on the Xbox One X. And my gosh, anybody that knows about a feed, you know that the feed is not gonna ever give you the same quality as it would be if it was actually coming from your own device. So this game looks wonderful. Very impressive. I am definitely interested in this game. I will more than likely pick it up because I've been on a Assassin's Creed kick lately playing Origins. Not Origins, I'm sorry about that. This is this game. I ain't played this yet. But Assassin's Creed Unity. I've been playing and I've actually been enjoying it. So anyway, after that was shown, which, God dog, y'all go and check that out, man. Now, the next game that was shown it actually got me down a little bit. We knew it was coming, and I was not at all worried about this game. But the next game, of course, that was shown was The Crew 2. And I'll be honest, I'm gonna be a bit of a Debbie Downer here. I don't know anyone, and this is me being honest. This is not me trying to throw shots or drop bombs on anybody. But I don't know if anybody was asking for The Crew 2. I didn't hear anybody saying, oh my gosh, I'm jumping out of my seat and I'm going to do a back flip because they're coming out with The Crew 2. But this is the thing. The game, it's a little different this time because the game looks like it's actually going to feature motocross. You're going to be able to fly a freaking plane, and you're going to be able to actually be in a speedboat, race a speedboat, and you'll be able to race in the car. Now that right there had me say, wow, that is kind of different. You're not just going to be in a car. You're going to be racing a plane. Racing inside of a plane. You're like literally racing the plane, piloting this thing. And I'm like, wow, I don't know if I've ever Me personally, I'm not saying that it doesn't exist. In my mind, I'm sure if I thought hard enough, it's been a game where you could do several different races and several different vehicles. But I thought that was a nice spin on what the game was before. And I must tell you, man, after the initial trailer wrapped up, you know how they do the cinematic and they get you pumped up, which I still don't believe we need cinematic trailers in this day and age. I don't think so. But so after that wrapped up, they actually went into actual gameplay of the game, which it looked pretty good. Now the off-road forest level, I gotta tell you, that was the thing that stuck out to me the most. That looked amazing. Okay, it looked really, really good. When they start getting into the foliage, oh man, I said, wow, this looks really, really nice. So that was going on. After that, they showed the speedboats, which that kind of reminded me of a prettier Hydro Thunder. I don't know if you guys remember Hydro Thunder, but that was one of the first boat racing games I had ever played, and it was just so dope. Think that was by Midway, another Midway classic that was awesome back in the day in the arcade and on the Dreamcast. I loved it. So that was very reminiscent, and I was like, man, that's kind of cool, man. So after they showed all of the different things, the different events and all, they actually said that this will be released in early 2018. And if you're interested, you can sign up for the beta. And the way you sign up for the beta is at, of course, www.crewgame.com/beta. So after that wrapped up, now, up next, of course, is a game that many people are anticipating. Many people are looking forward to it. The people were so excited after the first one wrapped. People were just excited to get the first game. So up next, they showed off South Park, the Fractured But Whole. That took to the stage, and they actually reiterated the day, the month, and the year that it'll be coming out, and the game will be released, of course, on October 7th. I had to cough, excuse me. But after that, next up, this was a little weird. I didn't really get it, couldn't understand it 100%. Looked very, I don't know, mystery-like-ish, because nothing was really shown. But next they showed Elijah Wood. Y'all might know him. He was in Radio Flyer. He was in, what was the other movie that Elijah Wood was in? The big movie, the one that I can't even think of. Lord of the Rings. He was in that as well. He was on the stage, and basically he was introducing a VR game that's going to be called Transference, that's going to be coming out in 2018. So after that was shown, up next, of course, Mr. Yusuf comes back on the stage to introduce another game. And this game, oh shucks, this game is based around pirates. Now the trailer, I want y'all to follow me on this one. The trailer showed two ships doing battle with one another, and it looks stellar. Oh my goodness. Now the name of this game is actually called Skull and Bones. Now Justin took to the stage to go deeper into the game. Of course, he's one of the guys that's behind it. Now he says you can play the game solo or with a team of friends, and you can actually play. It'll feature 5 versus 5. And whoa, the game looks so dope. The game put Sea of Thieves to absolute shame. I mean, God dog, the team. Now see, this is the thing. This team, brother, I mean, this is what Sea of Thieves should have been. Now, I'm going to get into that in a minute. Let me finish explaining what this game is about. Now, the team that actually comes away with the most loot, they win. Now, the ship's explosions look so epic. It was a great game. Now, if you're interested, if you want to try this game out, which I darn sure want to try this game out, all you got to do is go to www.skullandbonesgame.com. Now, this game is actually going to be coming out in the fall of next year, 2018. Now, let me tell you guys, this game, when I saw this game, man, all I could do was just say, wow, why couldn't Sea of Thieves be this? Why couldn't it have been this? This game looks so realistic. People were jacking the ships. They were firing the cannons. They were doing all kinds of stuff. I mean, just an amazing display of a game about pirates. And when I say that the game is 5 versus 5, I'm talking about 5 ships, okay? I'm not talking about people. I'm talking about each one of your friends manning a ship and you guys taking over the other 5 ships to go get the loot by any means necessary. This game right here, to me, this was the game of Ubisoft show. And I'm telling you guys, check the game out. I'm not into pirates like that. I'm more than likely not going to even think about buying Sea of Thieves, because even though it looks cool, it looks okay, it has that cartoony look, and I actually like that in some games, but after seeing this game, Skull and Bones, oh man, I don't know, brother. I could see myself, and I'm not even a big online player like that, but the thing is, the game looks so engaging. I mean, you see the captain of the ship, he's turning the wheel, and you see your crew up there, just fighting and doing what they got to do to try to get the job done. This was stellar. Now, I'm going to move on because I think I've taken too much of your time up talking about this one game. Now, up next, of course, it ain't much to say about this title, people. They showed Just Dance 2018. Now, this game is actually going to come out in October. We know this is going to hit everything. When I say Ubisoft is hitting this with everything, this is on PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. They're doggone doing it. It's also going to be on the PS4, Xbox One. I believe it's even going to be on the Switch. God, dog. Moving on. Now, in the next game they showed, of course, they went back to South Park. Now, they said South Park is coming to your phones, and it's called Phone Destroyer, and it's going to be coming out this year. So if you want to play the game on Android, you want to play the game on your Apple phone or iOS, whatever you want to call it, it's going to be available. If you don't want to play it on the console, they got you covered. So after that, next up, a game was shown that looks like it's gonna take place in outer space. Now, this was so interesting there. God darn, the 10-year-old Kiaun came alive on this one. Now, it's a spaceship flying game that looks like it doesn't look like, it actually uses toys to this game. Now, the game is called Starlink, S-T-A-R Link. Battles of Atlas. Now, the game does look very interesting. Now, this game is going to be available on all platforms, and it's going to release in 2018, and is coming out on the Switch. Oh my gosh. It looks like Nintendo is getting some love. They're getting a little bit of love this time out. They got Elder Scroll coming out on. Well, let me just go ahead and continue with Ubisoft. My gosh. Okay. So, after they show, well, let me back up to this. Hold on. Wait a minute. I can't just gloss over this game like it didn't make an impression. So basically, you guys remember, if you're in my age group, you remember looking at Robotech. You remember looking at Voltron. I mean, it was always mech cartoons when we were coming up. It was always robots, Transformers, GoBots, whatever you want to call it. People used to get on me because I liked the GoBots, and they'd be like, oh, that's a cheap imitation of the Transformers. Get out my face, man. So as it goes, we grew up on that kind of stuff. I gotta calm down. Man, my voice is so hoarse right now. I've been so excited over E3. Man, that's why I'm recording this so late as well. Voice giving out, but we gonna get through it, god dog it. So, now, the interesting thing about this is it almost put me in the mindset of Amiibos, where you actually take the actual toy itself and it unlocks certain abilities. You can do certain things when you have that toy or that extra, what do you call it? I don't want to call it a peripheral, but just that extra piece. So it looks like they're going to take that kind of idea and actually expound on it, but it's going to be starships. It looks so cool. You guys check it out. It's awesome. Awesome. Now I'm at to calm down because my voice is almost out, but we gonna keep on going. So up next was Steep, which will have an expansion coming in December. It's actually going to be released on December 5th. Now they showed off the skiing section of the game, which actually looks pretty impressive. Steep didn't do all that great. I don't think it made a big splash, but I do appreciate the fact that Ubisoft does not give up on a franchise. You have to just give them a lot of credit. You can say a lot of things about Ubisoft, their games not hitting that target that they promised us that they would, or coming out with that same graphical fidelity like they said the original Watch Dogs would do. But you have to say that no matter what, Ubisoft will not just give up on a IP and say the heck with it. They are one of the, if not the only publisher that will actually say, hey, look, this one didn't do too well, but guess what? I think we have something here. Let's go ahead and make another one. And I applaud them for making a Steep expansion, which might turn some people around. I know that it's supposed to be based off of making it to the Olympic squad or being in the Olympics. So I'm interested to see how this goes. I'm not really into those kind of games per se, but it did look interesting and it looked pretty impressive. So up next, a new game starts up in the cornfield. Of course, I said, what the heck is this? But as I looked at the graphical style of the game, it became evident to me very, very quickly that the game, and I was right, they showed off Far Cry 5. Oh my gosh. Now, after they showed the cornfield and all of that stuff, the quick intro to the game, Dan, the name of one of the guys on the team behind this game, he actually took to the stage to go into deeper detail. Now, he was saying that he actually explained the world pretty good. He said the roads are cut off. These people that are in this cult, they actually cut off the roads. It's no cell phone service. You can't get a signal. You're basically trapped in this town. They have taken it over. They're not letting you out. You can't communicate with the outside world. So what do? Your back is against the wall and you have to get out. So now after that, they went into the demo of the game and wow, the game looks awesome. And the one thing that stood out to me as they're going through, and I mean the foliage, I'm a big foliage guy lately, y'all. I don't know what it is. It's something about seeing those green trees and the leaves and, just nature in a game that really just makes it look that much better. So I'm looking at the foliage and looking at the enemies, the guns. I'm buying this. I have never been a big Far Cry fan, but I'm buying this one. I have to. It looks so good. But the thing that stood out to me the most is you got a dog. Now I know you can say, wait a minute, it was a dog in Fallout 4. Guess what? I didn't get Fallout 4. I didn't get it, man. So it reminded me somewhat of I don't know if you guys remember this. This is for some of my old school gamers, but Shadow Dancer. That was an offshoot of Shinobi where he had a dog. That was the first game I'd ever played where you could sick the dog on people, and I mean, he would be gnawing at the daggone elbows, their legs. He would just jump on them. So when I saw this game and he sicked the dog on somebody, and then after the dog tackled him and did what he had to do, the icing on the cake was the dog came back with the gun in his mouth. He came back and said, here you go. Man, I was like, yes, this is what I need. I'm going to pick this up. Now, of course, this is coming out next year, and daggone, I don't know, man. That was such a great demo. It was so cool just to see the game. Far Cry 5. You guys have sold me on that, Ubisoft. Excellent presentation. So, after that, oh, man. This was a moment for me, y'all. This was a real moment. Now, the next game was up to be shown. And, wow, what a shocker, okay? Because the game that they showed, it started off where I was like, I don't know what this is. It must be a brand new IP. This looks so interesting. It's showing a monkey doing a deal with the pig. And I will say, when I saw the pig, I said, you know what? I think I do know what this is. There's no way it can't be. But it was still a shocker. The way that they presented it, they didn't present it in the normal fashion way that you would of a game that is what this was. So as the trailer went on, the monkey escapes, he's laughing, he duped the pig, and basically, man, just to make a long story, which wasn't really that long, but just to shorten it up a bit, the game that they showed was Beyond Good and Evil Part 2. It is official, people. It is coming. So after they showed the trailer, everybody's cheering, having a great time. Can't believe the game is actually in development. Michael, who's one of the people that's behind the game, he came to the stage, and I mean, hey, man, this really touched me. It really touched my heart, man. I mean, really. When he came to the stage and everybody was clapping for him, so happy to see the game, he actually teared up on the stage. He had to wipe away a tear, man. And that really touched me. I said, wow, that's a man who is just so happy to have this game actually being officially announced to the world. I was saying to myself, I'm sure he worked very hard on the game, and he actually just started thanking people. He thanked Yusuf for giving him a chance. He thanked the people for being behind him for almost 15 years. That was the last time the original game was released, almost 15 years ago. And you could tell it was just heartfelt. So after he got past that, they had went into more details. Actually, a young lady was with him as well. Her name was Gabrielle. Sorry about that. She went into detail about the game and actually talked about how what is interesting about this game is this game is going to take place before Jade was even born. So they're going to go into a lot of the backstory. I'm sure her dad might be the main character. Nothing was really said about who's going to be what or where or when. PJ wasn't shown. He might be a little piglet. He might be, because it makes sense that he would be younger if this is taking place before Jade was actually born. So after that, they didn't give a release date or anything like that. That pretty much wrapped it up for them. And just the fact that the game is coming is enough for me right now. I'm very, very excited about this. I can't wait to hear more details. And I have to say this as well. It looks like, at least for the moment, now it wouldn't shock me if it actually was, but at the moment, it doesn't appear to be a Nintendo Switch exclusive. They didn't talk about any exclusivity. To be fair, they didn't even talk about what platforms it's going to be on. They did just say that the game is being worked on. So we have that to look forward to. That's coming down the pipe. Hopefully it won't be a repeat of when they showed Beyond Good and Evil 2 years ago and then it went dark. Hopefully this time it's officially here to stay and we will be getting the game in the very, very near future. Now, last but not least, to end Ubisoft's conference, they actually brought up different team members. They brought them up on the stage to close out the show. And that, guys, was what Ubisoft's conference was in a nutshell. First off, I have to say, like I said, my favorite game of their conference, with no doubts about it, no ifs, ands, or buts, it was Skull and Bones. That game really impressed me. And I think that I have to bring it up because they're going to be compared to each other. They're coming out next year. So people are going to pin them head to head. And that's, of course, Sea of Thieves with Skull and Bones. I'm going to tell you, Skull and Bones by far, to me, looks like the better game. And to actually add just a little bit more background to Skull and Bones, man, my throat is on fire. Whoa! Oh, man. But just to add just a little bit more background about that game, the game is actually being developed by the same team that was behind Assassin's Creed Black Flag. The same team. And you guys know that game had a lot of ship combat, pirate-esque elements to the game. So this same team is working on this game, and I have no doubt that it's going to be amazing once it's all said and done. I would say another game, of course, that I thought was a highlight of their conference was Assassin's Creed Origins. I definitely want that day one. It's a must buy for me. I have to get it. I love the fact that they're taking it back to Egypt, which is, not taking it back there, but actually just taking it there to Egypt as the origin story. They're saying they're going to get into mummification and the pyramids and all of that stuff. I mean, it's just going to be a great setting, in my opinion. Going through the sand, who knows, they might put an element in the game, a gameplay element where you start hallucinating in the desert and stuff. I mean, it could be anything. I mean, my mind is going, just out there with ideas that might come into the game, but who knows? Nobody will know until it's actually officially released. And I have to say, the other game that got me excited, of course, was Far Cry 5. Very excited about that. Those three games, that did it for me, man. The other things that they showed, the cherry on top, of course, was Beyond Good and Evil 2 being shown. I loved that. I thought that was fantastic. And, I have to give Ubisoft's conference, there was some games in there that, of course, I'm not going to play. They don't interest me per se. But just like I say with all of these, this is always subjective. Somebody else may see it differently. Somebody else may say you're giving them too much credit. But for me, I thought they had a solid show. And just that skull and bones, man, it really took me over the edge. So for them, I have to give them, I thought it was solid, 7.5. I would give them for their conference. It was great. I know some of you guys are probably going to say, how the heck can you give that conference a bigger score than you did Sony? You gave Sony a 6.5 and you're going to give Ubisoft a whole extra point more? I got to say, man, look, brother, the pirate game was amazing to me. Yeah, I know it's a multi-plat. It's not an exclusive to any console, but it was something I was not expecting. We had heard rumblings about Beyond Good and Evil 2 actually being made and being developed, and how, when he was talking to Tim Schafer, the guy leaked it by mistake, but nothing was confirmed. And just the fact that the game is in development, I was so happy to see that. Assassin's Creed Origins, we haven't seen an Assassin's Creed a proper Assassin's Creed game in about 2 years, and this one just comes back looking so good. It just did it for me, man. I really enjoyed it. And it's no knock towards Sony. The only thing, and I have to say this, I want to just clear a few things up about the Sony press conference. Now, the thing is, a lot of people were excited about Shadow of the Colossus. The game looks great. It does. It looks great. Stunning. I don't know if I could say stunning. I said stunning with a couple of other games that I really believe that with, but Shadow of the Colossus, it looks great. It does. But it's the same game that we got during the PlayStation 2 era, the PlayStation 3 era, and now they're making it again for the 4. That's not a new IP. However, it does look great. Outside of that, like I said, Days Gone, it looks good. It looks good, but to me, it reminds me too much of The Last of Us. And it just doesn't seem like it has its own identity, the kind of identity that I needed to have to really reel me in, so it just, like I said, I might pick it up. It looks good, Days Gone, but it just looks like something I've played already. It looks too close to The Last of Us to me personally, but it's not a knock on the game. But like I said, God of War, oh, frick, man, God, dog. Game looked great. It looked amazing. Amazing looking game. Oh my gosh. Props. Day one buy for me. Have to have it. That, like I said, Detroit, I was really high on that, and it just didn't do it for me when I saw it again. So that was a low point, but I'm going off. I'm just trying to explain myself, because some people are going to say you really wearing that Xbox fan hat a little too hard. But I'm just trying to go into some detail about why I graded Sony's conference the way I did. In no way, shape, or form or fashion am I saying that their games were not great games to look at. It was just games I had already seen before. These were games that were advertised last E3. Some go back a little further than last year's E3. So it was just nothing there that really got my attention. Spider-Man 2 closed the show out last year, and it did it again this year, but the game looks awesome. I just wish they had gave just a little bit more. But anyway, that is it for Ubisoft. Great conference. Thoroughly enjoyed it. And very quickly, let me get into Nintendo. Nintendo had a treehouse. I was not going to do a Nintendo's impressions podcast by itself because it just, and this is no knock to Nintendo, good gracious, it just wasn't a whole lot there. They spent a lot of time on the same games, but I have to tell you though, I was impressed. I walked away pretty happy with what Nintendo showed. First off, they said Metroid Prime 4 is in development. I daggone clapped. I said, all right, Nintendo, you're acting. You're acting right now. I see that. So after that, they showed Metroid, The Return of Samus on the 3DS. Oh my gosh. Hey man, I'm sitting here and I'm contemplating on buying a darn 3DS. This is sad, man. But the game looked like it was going right back to the Metroid side-scrolling roots. The game looked great. It looked so good. And you know that they had it blown up like 2 or 3 times the size of what the 3DS screen actually is. So you know it's going to look a lot smoother, a lot cleaner with the images, with it on just that small screen. So it was very impressive. It was so good to see Samus come back to her original form, being a side-scrolling game. It had some God of War elements in there where you actually tackled the enemy down to the ground and you're shooting them with your blaster. It looks so good. Anybody with a 3DS, definitely check out this game. It's Metroid, The Return of Samus. Great looking game, man. I loved it. Now, after that, of course, they were showing off Mario Odyssey. And Mario Odyssey, it looked cool, man. It looked all right. You know, it looked okay. It was, for anyone that loved, Mario 64, this will definitely be a game for you. I loved Mario 64 myself. It was revolutionary. It was amazing what they did, having that be the first game that was controlled with the analog stick, the 3D, elements that game had, the third person view, the world itself. I mean, it really, really broke a lot of barriers down for gaming to actually expand. So I definitely hold Mario 64 in a high regard. And the Mario franchise as well, I really respect it to its core. But for me, the game, I will say this, if I had a Switch, if I ever decided to get one, I would probably pick it up because Mario games are fun. You can't take away the fun factor from them. They are greatly made games that have a lot of fun elements to them. So I would be willing to give it a shot. But like I told Jeremy before, I said it's probably a game that doesn't really appeal to me on a graphical standpoint. But it's probably a game that once you start playing it, it plays so great that you can't put it down. So I enjoyed the fact that they also made it so you could buy Mario different outfits. You know, he had a sombrero on, running through the desert. I mean, it's a game that I'm sure once I played it, it would probably suck me in and I'd be saying, oh my gosh, it's amazing. I can't believe it. You know, it took me by surprise, you know, but it's a game I would have to play, I'm sure, to really have a deeper appreciation for what they're doing. So for Nintendo, oh man, they were like the 3 things that stood out to me. I believe Nintendo showed off 1 or 2 other things, but it wasn't a lot there, man. It just wasn't. I mean, Metroid, as much as I'm a Metroid fan, that wasn't enough to save it. Mario was not enough to save it. I gotta give Nintendo, for their press conference. I mean, I know they said Pokemon is coming out. I'm not a Pokemon player. It's not really my thing, but man, I gotta give them, realistically, and this is a stiff score, man. I gotta give them a 5. A 5 out of 10. It just wasn't enough there. Nintendo is getting the third party support, which is great, and I'm happy that they're actually going for it. That's really cool to see that they know that they need it finally, and that these developers are giving them the support. But right now, it's just not anything there. I'll say this: if the Metroid game was on the Switch, then we might be talking. We might have been talking about a totally different score, in my opinion. But, I mean, the Raving Rabbids Mario crossover, that's cool. That is cool. You gotta give them props on that. But for me, alright, since they had that, I give them a 5.5, man. I give them a 5.5. I feel when I put it that close to Sony's show, it seems like I need to bump Sony up maybe by 0.5 point to a 7. I'm leaning towards that 7 for Sony, because as I looked at the conference, as I looked at it, I'm like, man, these games still do look good. I mean, nothing looks like trash or garbage. Nothing is bad on their stage. They're showing solid things. The only thing that they missed me on was the VR, but I understand why they did it. They got to make sure people know that they're in it to support the daggone peripheral. They're not running away. So I got why they would do that. So, darn it. Maybe I need to, alright, okay. Alright, frick it. Alright, bump it. Doggone Sony, I will give them a 7. Microsoft, I'm giving them an 8. Ubisoft, I'm giving them a 7.5. And Nintendo, since they did show off some games, they're getting third-party support, which was a problem the last time. I'll give them a 6. That is my final. That is it. That's my final score for those companies. I thought they all had from okay shows to great shows. I loved Microsoft's the most. You guys probably don't agree, but that's all right, man, because, hey, as I say every single week, you can feel free to call in at 443-261-4607 and leave your opinions. Tell me how wrong I am about what I said, or you can email the show at the Analog Circle Podcast at gmail.com. Guys, this was it for all of the E3 conferences. I hope you guys enjoyed my impressions and my take on them. I want to thank you guys so much for all of the support. The numbers have been looking very, very good. Thank you so very much for all of you guys downloading the shows, listening to the shows, and spreading the word about the Analog Circle Podcast. So don't worry, it was a lot to unpack this week, but I will definitely be back again on Sunday, where I'll be recording a regular podcast with some news, and it's gonna be a slew of it for the next 2 weeks or so, different news stories coming out. So definitely expect for me to be back on to the regularly scheduled programming side of the podcast next week. So until then, once again, thank you guys for all of the support. And with that, you guys take care and be safe out there. Bye-bye.